I would like to present a case study based on one museum. This is Warsaw Rising Museum. So this is, of course, the story which is site-specific, let's say, taking the term from the art critique. It is local in the sense that it refers to specific historical event, and it's also deeply rooted in Polish imaginary. But on the other hand, I believe that this museum may be also perceived as universal or, let's say, more model-like description as far as the context of new media and digitality is concerned in nowadays museography or memory industry, let's say. Just to recall even yesterday discussions about internet as a tool of historical representation and education. The narration proposed by the museum is a very persuasive one, and it's really visible in the space of Warsaw. But just would like to, I would like to underline that it's not the only one in the very dense space of history and memory of Warsaw. Nevertheless, I'm going to focus only on that. And let me start with an official trailer made by a museum presenting itself. So you may notice even in this short film the use of special effects that would evoke the aura of the past affecting the visitors. So you can watch and I'll be talking. So the museum of this specific historical event has a history of its own. The idea of making the museum devoted to Warsaw Uprising was born in late 90s, again born, let's say. Since the very beginning, the event was a part of Polish mythology, but this desperate battle against Germans and against Soviets in political terms, as the uprising was supposed to prove that Poland was able to liberate itself with no help from eastern neighbor. So the uprising lasted 63 days from August 1st till October the 2nd. In 1944, and ended with 200,000 killed civilians and soldiers, and with complete destruction of the city. And the event still makes a hot topic in historical, political, and cultural debates in Poland. Late President of Poland, Lech Kaczyński, who was the mayor of Warsaw in the beginning of new century, made a huge effort to prepare the 2004 celebration of the uprising. It was the 60th anniversary, so of course the round anniversaries usually make this kind of additional effort. This where we have 70th anniversary, so please, you're welcome to come to Warsaw and to see how it would, sorry. And I'm sorry. Kaczyński decided to make the museum, and actually it was made. He connected this opportunity of anniversary and opening the Museum of the Rising, and the actual project was realized in a very short time. And actually it also opened political careers for some of its creators. Some politics that are called fighters, as they made the project vivid. The museum opened in the former power station building, producing producing electricity for tramways, and really made a most important point of this 60th anniversary schedule. The exposition displays not only the Battle of Warsaw itself, but also its broad background. The terror of the war terror, the activities of the underground Polish state, the situation of Jews, the persecution of underground fighters in the aftermath of World War II, and of course the complex geopolitical situation of Poland torn between Soviet Union and Germany. But the traditional mode of representing history with glass cases, documents, photos, objects, and long descriptions is upstaged by light and sound installations. Historical data are set in an impressive framework of light, color, fake brick, with accompanying sounds of bombs, songs, and bullets. 3 monitors showing images of the uprising make no distinction between fiction, fragments from movies like Kanal by Andrzej Wajda, and documentary shooting. Both types of narration create one coherent story, which makes, of course, this impression that actually we are in the realm of imaginary than in some kind of reconstruction of historical event even more powerful. A space inside the building mimics a part of the city under fire. As in any construction, it differs from real space. Everything becomes meaningful here. The map of the city, constructed in the museum, is made up only of important, unique points chosen in a metonymical style. So there is one barricade, one canal, only a few drawers containing info about certain fighters, mostly leaders. All these effects underline the martyrology, the sacrifice and glory in a concerted effort to intensify meaning. Official description of the museum says that the exhibition, one of the first interactive exhibitions in Poland, renders the realm of 1944 on the basis of historical narration combined with multimedia. The interior set reflects a wide range of used documents and materials apprehending events in destroyed capital. The core element of the exhibition, it's visible now, the one that connects multidimensional space of the museum is a heart. It's made out of steel that goes through all levels of the building. Inside this heart, from inside the heart, we can see a specific rhythm suggesting the heart beating. Thus the museum forms a projection of memory, the very specific one. First of all, as it requires the bodily engagement of visitors. It differs from the prevailing contemporary mode of refreshing historiography, since it doesn't refer to everyday bodily practice of 1944 people. The life of civilians during the uprising is almost not present in the exhibition. So on a daily basis, actually, the museum provides the opportunity to feel like a fighter. Bricks, sounds, a canal create not only an aesthetic dimension for the exhibition, but suggest an environment for performing the past. What's important here is the so-called historical narration. As some whimsically observe, it's hard to notice that the uprising was a political and military defeat. Of course, it was moral victory. It was also called by some journalists, just after it was open, thematic park, referring, of course, to, for example, Disney parks or something like that. The museum, of course, uses a lot of new promotional tools like website, Facebook pages, etc., etc. And in terms of history, of course, it is historically accurate, but in terms of facts that are evoked. But of course, some facts are chosen, the other not. And of course, the interpretation is everything. So first of all, we have this slogan: we wanted to be free and to gain the freedom right to ourselves, which is a very important switch in thinking about uprising, because the narration is based on justification of the very decision to make an uprising in occupied Warsaw, which is in Poland very the topic of a hot debate, actually. But in the museum, this decision is justified based both on certain interpretation of political circumstances, so it's rational, it was rational, and also based on moral argument of honor and freedom as more valuable than life. We can compare this, for example, also the narration provided by the museum with the modes of representation and memorization of the uprising in post-war period. For example, here you can see the monument of Warsaw uprising heroes. The very name is very significant because since 1955-56, after thaw, the Warsaw Uprising could have been was allowed to be memorized, but starting with the movie by Wajda, for example, Canal in 1957, but it was mostly about the people who fought in the event, not about the event itself. So it was like, you know, that they were brave people, but serving bad case. Brave people, but not politically conscious. So when the museum is the museum of the uprising, it actually makes important and the fight itself, and it's important that it's actually commemorate fighters, not civilians. And so this is one important switch I would accentuate here. And this is, of course, sort of paradox also, that this monument, as you might notice, was opened in 1989. It was actually decided by Wojciech Jaruzelski, communist leader of Poland, to make such a monument. But the monument was ready in August 1989. So the celebration of this of the monument and of this anniversary of the uprising was made with newly chosen half-free politicians in Poland from democratic opposition, as it was called. The other important issue, or the context for this museum, is an issue of ruins. They are used in exhibition in a very specific mode, I would say, as of course there is a lot of modes to evoke ruins. The very set of the museum may have this, may make this impression. But for example, there is also an installation showing the buildings before the war and destroyed by Germans in the wake of the during the uprising or in the wake of it. But there is nothing about how these places look nowadays, which was, for example, very common in 60s and in 70s. That actually we watched the ruins and then we watched how the space was rebuilt. Now they just leave us, let's say, with ruins. And of course, this is again important context, because this image of Warsaw as desert of stones was really recognizable across the whole of Polish society. Nevertheless, completely different strategies were adopted to popularize this legend. These images were distributed widely. And they are very known for Polish society, as I said, but usually compared to rebuilt parts of the city, and with very interesting switch just in the beginning of the period. We started as a socialist state with the slogan, "The whole nation rebuilds Warsaw," which very shortly became "The whole nation builds the capital." So you can see this, again, small switch, which actually made the huge difference. We were not rebuilt anything. The Poles were not rebuilt anything. The past was sort of cut off. The idea was to build anew the city and, of course, the state, the socialist society. It changed a bit, as I said, due to thaw, but then again, this probably very well-known image made by Wajda was enrooted in, let's say, some sort of dark martyrology. So again, they were very young, very beautiful people dying for their homeland, but it was put into this kind of discourse about Polish fate, Polish unnecessary loss, etc., etc. Museum Against the City of Ruins is a short movie in 3 dimensions, produced by the museum, which makes an emptiness, the ruin as a symbol of emptiness, a very important sign, I think. So this is a digital simulation based on actual historical aerial footage, which is made into short movie and colored, which is interesting for a couple of reasons. One is, again, techniques, as the museum calls themselves the most modern museum in Poland, which is not so true anymore, but it was probably in the beginning of its history. But very often they use this promotional strategy that we are really modern. We use the best techniques. We are the first to make such a promotion or such a story out of history. So this how this looks in the movie. As I said, you can see it in the museum in a special small cinema room in 3D, and it just shortly informs about losses. So we can learn that about the number of inhabitants in Warsaw in different periods of during war. And this is the other important point. This is the story that actually excludes all other stories. Because in these slides, in these numbers, it's hard to notice that there was any Jewish population in Warsaw. Because you may see that, yes, on September there was 1,300,000 people living in Warsaw, and on August 1st, there is 900,000. What happened to 400,000 people? We don't know. And this image, which is very evocatively shown in this short production, is actually the image taken from the place where ghetto used to be, because the ghetto was the most destroyed part. This is the second part. I mean, this making this story kind of univocal, making this narration about the uprising univocal. The other, this is the, it's not only about the movie, but the whole exhibition is creating emotional subject, because the museum makes a multisensory environment, engaging subject to feel and to be a part, yes, of history. Under this use of ruins, I sort of interpret that this is very, as I said, this is very strong sign, which says something like, you can see, this is the city destroyed by Germans, with a little help from Russians, in terms that they didn't do anything not to make this happen. But actually, this is the most important message from the past, and perhaps the only one, actually, because in a way it repeats this socialist strategy. Yes, as they started from rebuilding, then was just building of new capital. Now we can see that the very beginning for Poland, nowadays Poland, are these ruins. So there is nothing in between. The Polish People's Republic period was sort of erased from memory. And of course you can see also how, thanks to these modern technologies, the catastrophe, which the uprising could be defined as a catastrophe, the catastrophe was changed into very luminous prospect, a project of something even beautiful. So what I would like to underline here is that we can see the local history, but it's represented through global means and languages of visual representation, widely recognized by users of culture, not only in Poland. It's modern in terms that it uses these new technologies, but on the other hand, it's pre-modern because it proposes the very native, ethnical or even tribal narration. On the other hand, it's postmodern because what actually is evoked here is identification that may be reduced just to appearance, to look, to something very external. And this is some kind of simulacrum. And we can see also that this image is a very attractive one. So we may even trace some kind of process of re-enchantment to reverse the Weber's notion connected to the process of modernization. Then again, the conference is about museography, but in the context of this museum and of course many others, we should ask it actually it's not Museo Foti or Museo Imaginary and Museo Sensorium in terms of these strategies to produce environment for feelings and emotions. It's of course very visible in such contexts like, for example, children exhibitions in Holocaust museums. They use very similar strategy, but they, of course, not use very strong effects. Or, on the other hand, with in some kinds of memorial, they try to evoke experience. So, when the museum formally says, "Come visit us," hear, feel, see, feel yourself as a part of occupied Warsaw. It creates actually some kind of narcissistic subject. It is narcissistic in a very, by definition, it's narcissistic in this, the classical definition of media is they are sort of expansion of senses, expansion of body. So when you look at, when we use media, we actually look at ourselves, so and we are proud that we are so technically prepared. So this is something I would say universal, yes, in using this all these images. On the other hand, of course, this is narcissistic also because this image is very attractive. It offers historical narration about moral victory and beautiful people dying in the sun, as a citation for the country, which overlaps with experience of visitors, of contemporary beautiful people participating in interesting and very cool experience of being in a museum. So we can here think about some distinction between an equivalent of experience, which is, I think, sought in such monuments like Mahnmal in Berlin or Children Memorial in Yad Vashem, where this is kind of looking for different experience that would evoke some feelings connected to the past, and a simulation in which you reconstruct the image, but actual experience is very different. So it wouldn't be about aura in Benjamin's terms, but about glamour, about the construction of beautiful, attractive, sexually attractive image. And we can see a lot of them. Of course, you know that now museums, it's obvious, they are actually multifunctional institutions. So the museum is also an exhibition, memorial, archive and research center, but also it co-produces theater performances, movies, visual arts, and events in public space. Actually it also has a huge program devoted to history of Warsaw, maybe not in general, but in 20th century. I would say that musealization now is an important strategy for transforming urban spaces, but in the case of the Museum of Rising, this virtual museum also makes some sort of expansion toward city space to make a city a virtual museum of the past. The museum, it's mostly done in August and September as a part of anniversaries celebration, but it's not limited to these months. So we can then again think about the museum without walls to evoke Malraux. But of course, this museum is not free. It's not. It's guarded by the guardians of memory. For this purpose, museum invited. They decided to include many pop events, and pop culture is a very important part of educational strategy. So they use rock bands, making special records for the events connected to memory of uprising, bikers, of course, graphic comic books. They make a contest for the best comic books describing the uprising. Theater performances. Every year there's different director invited to make a special performance for the anniversary. And of course historical reconstructions, which of course is again some process of reconstructing glamour look. The latest example of museum politics and poetics is documentary Warsaw Uprising movie, which is made out of footage made during the battle. This is the original material, but the material was digitally reconstructed, colorized, and sounded. So the idea was to shorten the distance, the cognitive distance between contemporary youth and young heroes of the past. And it's now widely distributed in Polish cinemas. And again, they use all media tools to promote the movie. The museum produces the movie and now uses additional tools to promote it. You can see this nice logo of ICAR. And they use also a lot of, the museum uses a lot of tools also like connecting the past and the present by, for example, making a lot of surveys about would you have taken part in the uprising? This is very common, you know, to be forced to answer the question. To make it some kind of constant point of reference, and this strategy of museum is a very influential one. Just to short two examples. This is the fashion collection. Sorry, so fashion collection. This movie doesn't work, so. I'm really sorry, but it's really glamoured. But the projectant Robert Kupisz made a full collection based on the inspiration from the uprising, but his very inspiration was taken from the museum. He went to the museum and he said, this is his description, these people were so young and beautiful. And actually now in Poland we have this generation of young and beautiful people at last free. So this is important to sort of connect it. And the other example is a movie that will premiere this August. City 44. You can see the poster for the movie, which presents young actors in very stylish poses. The movie, the premiere will be held on the National Stadium in Warsaw on August the 1st. But actually, the movie will be shown in cinemas in September, because, of course, in September, children will come back to schools. So when we think about what happens in history when it's repeated, so, of course, it may become not only a museum, but rather, in this case, but rather a spectacle. Just to show you the idea for the movie. This song by Lana Del Rey, which obviously expresses the emotions connected to history. And just to end I think that it's important not only in terms of discussing the way the history is reconstructed, presented, represented, simulated, etc. But it's also, of course, about politics today. I believe that this kind of narration, which is so persuasive, of course, has its consequences for Polish debate today. I'm not going to go much into it, but I think it's not, as any medium itself is not innocent, also such narration are not innocent. Yes, so feel invited.